What do you think about this, that metal is mainstream in Finland?
Well, for me personally, it's great since it enables me to pay my rent.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess that on the same level as Norway, Finland is great that you can have Cradle of Filth being #1, Madonna being #2, and us being #3 or whatever on the official charts, which that never happens anywhere else.
Yeah.
Not in the States, not in the UK. And I think that that's pretty healthy.
So, what do you think about the kind of metal? Is it because for me it's kind of like a quite deep and personal and philosophical, a little bit like the black metal bands actually have a similar type of conviction to the metal. Is it similar for you?
Well, I love all kinds of music, and that is a combination of those different influences. I guess that music him does sounds like what it does nowadays. But basically, it was started because of Sabbath. So.
All right, that was
roots.
for you.
Yeah, we were sitting in our bass player's mother's Lada. And listening to C cassettes with, I think it was Masters of Reality, and humming along to every guitar solo Iommi played and to every drum fill Bill Ward played. Yeah. And they were the main inspiration for us in a sense also that they're kind of working class heroes, aren't they? They came from a really grim area was in Aston and Birmingham, and they weren't spectacularly good looking, maybe. They went like a pop band. They had a kind of a weird vibe to them visually and sound-wise. They were very different, taking that sort of like horror movie aspect into the blues, the heavy thing. And maybe in that sense, their story was a whole story filled with hope for us. So if they were able to make it, maybe we had the have the possibility of doing so as well. So in that sense, we owe our gratitude towards Black Sabbath more than maybe Finnish heavy metal bands. I was listening to like bands like Tarot back in the day, and stuff like that. But
because you kind of started also before this really started to fly, the Finnish metal.
With Toni Taleva.
He helped us out on our first gigs, and he was the guy sorting out. Teatro was the name of the club, and that was the one place before. That's where we had all the parties. We played with Apocalyptica. We played. That was the first gig, our official gig as His Infernal Majesty. We played a cover set of Typo Negative's songs, and Apocalyptica obviously played Metallica. And that's where it all started. I still got the posters. It's from '95 or something like that. '96.
You're kind of becoming like a cult person, not like just the fans, but for the bands and people that are like we met the Killswitch and Cage.
Oh yeah.
And they all had like the hey, him tattoo here, and there's like the LA Ink where you have Cat Von D and you see like your symbol there everywhere. And
well, it's a great symbol.
It is, it's very
that's the
good design.
I don't need any last words on my tombstone. Just need the symbol.
Exactly.
That's the best thing I've done. Probably the best thing I'll ever do. I'm not a graphic designer or anything like that, but it's just the big fan of Zeppelin and their 4 symbols and all that. It's just and symbols travel so well. When you don't have the language barrier.
Well, we've been using this quite long time. Didn't invent it.
Well, that was around for a couple of thousands of years. But it's still
hoping
beautiful.
that the original designer is not coming back. And
well, you never know about mummies, whether to believe in the curse of them or not. But it is a possibility.
Travel the world, have gigs everywhere. But the difference between the Finland and other countries that
in itself, just the sheer volume is very cathartic, and in that sense, very shamanistic. So even the church has found out that the people are more willing to believe in their God if they use our language, the pagans' language.
Exactly.
But I guess the volume in itself is you can't say that. Oh, that'd be a good idea. If we play love metal, there should be quiet metal. That's the next thing. How can you do that? That's impossible. The church has always been against everything that takes people attention away from the church. Whether it be art or music or artistic music. So they've been a good way. Like Stryper used Christianity metal in the 80s in America. I guess that's a good, and there's a lot of POD, if you consider them to be a metal band. They're Christian. And it's a free world. I don't have to buy into that shit. I don't have to go to the mass. Or I can listen to Dark Throne, but I don't have to believe in Satan.
Yeah.
In that sense, very satanic in an Anton LaVey kind of sense that it is the freedom of choice. You know, when it comes to metal, you listen to whatever you want, and there's little tribes within the metal, a lot of them, and they have. And now there's at least Norwegian black metal. Some of the Finns as well. They have neo-Nazi kind of vibe going on, bits and pieces. So it's getting rather interesting how within the big genre, usually known as heavy metal, there's so many different, you know, subgenres.
I still constantly listen to metal, but I don't label the music. So I just pick up like albums that I like, and I don't try to analyze it. What it is then. But
I listen to whatever. I listen to good songs. So the genre is not important. I've said to a couple of people, you know, about, you know, when they're asking about heavy metal, I've said that heavy metal is not necessarily just about the volume, it's about heavy subject matter. It's about heaviness in the mood of the music. So in that case, let's say Johnny Cash's American recordings is a lot more heavy, you know, a lot heavier as an album than 90% of heavy metal music. Or traditional Finnish music, which is very melancholy and very, not necessarily depressing, but it's very wistful and kind of a bit angsty. So, or Wagner. How much more gothic and heavy can you get? It's not necessarily good though. But,
it is heavy.
Yeah, but so in that sense, you know, heavy music. I like listen to heavy music, whether it be reggae. When you put passion into what you do, then it becomes fairly heavy, more or less. And that's probably the reason why we like heavy metal, is we do have the freedom of doing whatever we want within the genre. Over the past couple of years, the record labels have been more involved, since they've noticed, you know, with bands like Evanescence or Linkin Park or whatever, they've been able to find out that it's not just 15-year-old people-faced kids who are listening to metal. It's actually people who have the money to put into the product and thus make people millionaires.
When I kind of started, that was like, you know, 10 years before it was, well, I started when it was invented, but like, you know, our band was about 10 years later. And of course there wasn't any older generation of metalheads, so whatever we did was like, you know, freaking people out. And taking pictures in the graveyard and all that stuff worked very well. But in general, you don't have any music that would, like, you know, have that type of effect that it had, like in the 70s and 80s when it was more like invented. Or is it important? It was important for me, but would that be important for you?
Well, I guess it's a different cup of tea, since nowadays information travels so fast because of all the internet.